Man alive, what a great introduction that is. I could play that again, I think, and I'd be ready to suit up and take one for the team. That was good stuff. Anyway, this is the Major League Baseball Sports Memo TV, the full count show is what we call it. And I am accompanied here by two of the best, in Kevin Thomas and Dr. Chuck, to break down three of the big games on the Major League Baseball card for Tuesday, August 19th, 2020. All three of us are running pretty darn hot in many different sports, so I will summarize it very quickly. Make sure you get over to sportsmemo.com. Don't get the 5%er. That's easy to do, right? It's $2 Tuesday. Get those. Of course, you can get three guys for $5. I mean, it's a ridiculous number, and you get to see what they do, how they handicap. Everybody on Sports Memo and Wager Talk are among the best of the best, or we wouldn't be doing these shows, would we, guys? We just would not be doing them. And I encourage you to get a subscription. Don't, 5%ers are great. I'm 7-0 in the NBA, 5%ers. That's great. But you make even more money if you get the 30-day subscription. And I know the betting guys are going to kill me saying this, and both of you know that I do hype very poorly, but I really can't remember more than one other time in the last 10 years that I hit 68% against the number over 56 plays. Wait, where are the betting gods? Hopefully they didn't hear it, but I know Kevin Thomas is running hot too. I think actually you and I are 1-2 in the NBA, right?
I don't look at that stuff. I don't need that competition.
Well, I guess as a host, I have to look at it occasionally just to make sure, right? And I know I see Dr. Chuck's name on the leaderboard in a wide array of sports. So, we have three of the best here. So let's get started with the MLB. And we're getting to that point now, guys, where we have, 10 games under our belt. And we're starting to get a feel for who the teams really are and who they are not. So in this first game, we have we're going to talk about the Mets, I believe. Here, I'm going to add this to the stream. Yep, and this is game number 2 of the doubleheader. The first game was canceled last night. That game is underway in 2 more minutes, with first pitch by McGill set for 3:05. This game is set for 6:10. That's also assuming that first game doesn't go into extra innings. But as you can see on this chart, we have Logan Webb, and this is a great matchup in my opinion. We have Logan Webb, 1-0 in the season, 1.29 ERA, going against Mad Max, who's 2-0, 3.27. But you guys probably already know this, but he has never beaten the Giants. In fact, the last 3 starts he has had against the Giants, his team, whoever it was, the Dodgers, and I can't remember who it would have been before that accurately, but they scored 0 runs for him. 0. He lost one game, 1-0, 1-0, 2-0. Last year was the game 3 of the divisional series against Alex Wood. He lost 1-0 to the Giants. I have a funny feeling they're going to score more than 1 run tonight in this game. But let's start with Kevin here and see what he has for this matchup and where our best bet possibility lies.
Look, those stats are all good on Scherzer not winning against the Giants, but he signed with these Mets, and this is his home opener in front of these fans. And I have never seen a pitcher since Doc Holliday that can motivate himself and just pitch with will. I mean, and then look, he's got a lineup. Back when he was with the Nats, he had a lineup. He had Harper and all those guys back in the day, but he's got a Mets team that they're firing on all cylinders. I mean, they're 7-3. So I like Scherzer here. I mean, minus 125 with Max Scherzer at home. I know Logan's a great pitcher and stuff, and their stats, their numbers are almost identical this season with 2 games. I just don't know. At home, Scherzer, he just lights it up, and this is a big game for him in front of these home fans. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Mets minus the 125.
Yeah, I love the breakdown, Kevin. Dr. Chuck, it's your turn to step to the plate here and tell us where you think the best bet is for this matchup.
It's hard to argue with anything that you guys have said. I mean, it is funny. John brought up a funny point because DeGrom's inability to get any run support has been so public, and Max Scherzer joins that team. It's interesting that he has had that same problem historically as well. Kevin mentioned that Logan Webb feels like an unknown, but obviously the books are on top of the fact that he pretty much leads the analytics department in the world of starting pitching that people don't know, because Max Scherzer is a $1.25 favorite at home for the Mets. I didn't think that the Giants would ever catch on with the books last year after doing what they did in the same division as the Padres and Dodgers. And so I don't really find a lot of value on this line. I trust Logan Webb. I have a play on this first game with Cobb and McGill in it, and am fading McGill largely just because the Giants' offenses, I trust them, and I would want to know the details of the lineup and who is playing for Scherzer. Like Kevin said, he does have a lineup. Who's playing? Most of the guys are playing right now. So if they're going to play both legs, I'd want to know that. But I would probably go under or pass. But I don't see a lot of value on the side because, why are the books begging us to take Max? I would fade that.
Probably he's pretty good, I guess. I'm just kidding. But, he's good in cold weather, and it's not exactly warm here in the East. And he's not going to have a sleeve on his arm. He's going to be like the offensive lineman of Notre Dame when it's 0 degrees and they don't even know it's cold. And that's Mad Max. But I can tell you this from the database that has me leaning towards the Mets. I actually, in doubleheaders, guys, and you know this better than anybody, if the Mets lose the first game, I'm more apt to play the Mets in the second game because it's very hard to sweep a doubleheader at the Major League Baseball level. So that would add a little bit more fuel to my fire. But Scherzer is 20-5 using the money line when facing a National League team that's batting .245 or worse in starts made over the last 2 seasons. And he's a better yet 17-3 versus a National League team with an on-base percentage of .315 or worse over the last 2 seasons. That's pretty good stuff. So I like both of your breakdowns, and I definitely agree that the Mets in Game 2 is the right side here. Let's move on to our next slide here, and we're going to have the Rays and the Cubs. And as you can tell, you already know who I'm leaning on. That's a Tampa Bay Rays hat that I'm wearing in case people can't see it. The over-under in this game is 8. Matt Whistler is on the hill, 1.93 ERA. Justin Steele, the same numbers, except he's 1-0 with a 1.93. Chicago is money line of -111. They're 6-4 on the season, which is a little bit of a surprise to me. I didn't think any team's capable of winning 6 games over a 10-game period, but to see the Cubs get out to a nice start like that was kind of surprising. In fact, the other day we had the Cubs and the Rockies leading their respective divisions. That certainly will not last much longer than a day or two. But let's move it over to Kevin Thomas here and see what he thinks for this matchup and where a best bet may be lying.
I don't like this game, but I do like the Cubs here with the minus. I actually saw it at +100. So if it's at -110, I mean, I love the Cubs. Then I mean, you got Whistler is going to go one inning if he's lucky for the Rays, and then they're going to lean on Fleming, and that's okay. I mean, these Rays, they're a bullpen team and they've perfected it. But they're in the American League East, so they're not gonna throw everybody out there that's not healthy because this team's pretty banged up for the beginning of the season. So I can see them just not sandbagging, but not really caring as much. And these Cubs, I mean, who expected this? I mean, their record 6-5 or whatever they are. I mean, they're doing it with Sayai Suzuki. I mean, this kid is phenomenal. He can get his 10 hit in a row today and break a record. I don't know. I like the Cubs, especially with that line movement here. And you got Happ in that lineup too that's batting behind him. So that's a potent Cubs lineup that people are underrating.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way initially, but it's hard for me not to be on the Rays. I'm interested to see if Whistler goes more than 1 inning tonight. Do you think there's a possibility? I mean, either one of you can answer that question. Do you think he'll go 1 and done? And then they'll go to Fleming right away, or do you think there's a possibility he goes 2?
I think they want to see Fleming eat 4 innings, so I don't see it. I maybe, like I said, with all the injuries, what's going to hurt, but I don't see it. I mean, what's he's gotten so far? What's the most he's gotten? 1.2 innings or something? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't see
Yeah, and
it.
it's he has against the Cubs, he has gone. This is back in 2016 and 2015, so it doesn't really count. But he got hammered by them, so it's too far back in history to really apply to this game. But his ERA is 16 against the Cubs and a 2.399 WHIP. And I only bring that up because as a former athlete, sometimes these things stick in your head, and they stick in your head for 5 or 6 or 7 years, and you don't want to go to play the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley or anywhere. And it is in your head that, wow, the last time I pitched against these guys, it was horrible. But then again, the flip side of that, they're Major League Baseball players, and they're at this level because they don't get themselves obsessed with negative talk or negative thoughts. But I just thought I'd throw that out there. Dr. Chuck, what do you think in this matchup, and who do you see winning this game?
Well, so to Kevin's point, yeah, I mean, he's made 5 appearances. He hasn't started yet. He's made 5 appearances. The most he's gotten is 4 outs. Sometime, a couple of those times he hasn't even pitched an entire inning, 1/3. But I think Cash's idea is to definitely lean on Fleming, and maybe Fleming can eat up, maybe even 5-ish innings in the middle there if he comes on and he can be successful. I think that Kevin brings up a good point with the line move. It's interesting that it's hard to believe. Again, it's hard to believe, but these Cubs are 6-4, and they're supposed to have been maybe even worse than the Reds if you go by predictions. And it's one of those things you can't, the old adage, you can't win the World Series in April, but you sure as heck can do some damage to your season. And the Cubs are doing the opposite of that. It's been impressive, especially with the offense. Suzuki, Wisdom hit a big one last night off McClanahan. They were supposed to, if you're talking about a line move, I mean, last night the Rays are $1.50 favorite on the road or more. They lose outright, come back the next day, and maybe there's an overcorrection. But I think maybe Whistler does come out for the second inning. I think the Cubs are going to, if you're looking at a motivation standpoint, I would lean the opposite of what Kevin said, that maybe the Rays are more motivated because they took a loss to the Cubs last night. I mean, they're supposed to, no matter what, the Cubs are 6-4. They did get half those wins were against the Rockies. So, I mean, the record is their record. They are what we said they were, but the Rays should be motivated to at least even this series today. So you would think that they are, but that doesn't mean that they can hit. And the weather is going to be nasty again. And for those of the people that follow my plays, I'm obsessed with VMI and ADI, and it's hideous at Wrigley today. So look for, if anything, if you like to play something else, a good chance is the under, because there was a better chance they went over last night based on the weather, and it was 4-2.
Yeah, you just summed up my decision here. I'm definitely leaning the under. Manager Cash is an amazing 51-30 in road games after allowing 4 or fewer runs in 4 consecutive games. I know it's a little backfilling in there, but it's still Major League Baseball, 4 runs, 4 straight games. I kind of like that, and it leans me definitely towards the under. So what does a team do like this situation? Say Whistler comes into the game and he just gets absolutely hammered and can't get out of the first inning. Do they bring in who do they bring in to finish the inning? They wouldn't bring in Fleming to
I think
finish
they try
the
to do a
first inning.
stopgap. I think they try to do a stopgap like Mazza or something like they did when Patino went down. And, that didn't go well. But, he's just, he's up against it. Kevin brought it up. Cash is up against it with the injuries, and it's just not pretty.
It is truly a do or die situation. So maybe you can bet now if there's going to be a score in the first inning, either team. That I've never done that, but this is a situation where that might be tempting. Just pizza money, of course.
People love that bet. People love those plays. Quick result, incredibly tenuous. I have a system where I play one of these. I've only played 4 of them, but we're 3-1. But I have a system. It's pretty infrequent that it hits hard because you have to have there's a lot of aspects. But these two pitchers and lineups do fit it as well as the weather and stuff if you're looking that way. But yeah, you can't. One solo shot, and it's
It
toast.
could be the first pitch of the game.
Could be.
What kind of odds you would get on that? Let's move on to the third and final game, and this is another. I don't know how we got the Orioles involved in the show, but we did. With all due respect to Orioles fans, somebody has to be last in the American League East. Might as well be them again. They're 3-7. They're winless on the road. The A's are 6-5. It doesn't sound very good, but did you know they're fifth highest scoring offense so far in Major League Baseball, and they're the fifth best run differential in Major League Baseball, being only one game over 500? It seems to me like initially, Oakland just destroys them right from start to finish. It says probable to be determined. Baltimore has not announced a starter yet, but I believe Cole Irvin is pitching for Oakland, and you guys can help me confirm that if you want. But again, let's reverse the order this time. Let's start with Dr. Chuck this time in this matchup, and then we'll go over to Kevin Thomas for his thoughts.
Yeah, so it does look like it's Irvin. I think it's going to be Ellis for Baltimore. I'm not certain, but that's my guess. So you guys can maybe check that while I'm talking. But I think, sometimes I like these shows because they have to do some of the stuff based on schedule, and it's a West Coast game in Oakland, and there's a couple other choices. Obviously, the Braves and Dodgers and Reds and Padres, but we get Orioles and A's. And back to that, you can't win the World Series in April, but you can sure lose it. The Orioles, John will like this because 35 times in the last 3 seasons, the Orioles have put themselves in a spot where they're a road dog inside of a series where they scored 1 or less runs. And the key to this is the record in those 35 games is 9-26. But the key to this is normally they're getting 200. It's a really tight spread tonight, and so to match it up with the return on interest on that isn't great because you're betting a huge favorite, even though they won 26 of those 35 times. You're still limiting your profit, but that's that spot here where the Orioles struggle. They're going to struggle against Irvin. The A's seem to be scoring against anybody. They won pretty easily last night, like you said, put up a run right off jump, and that was more than the Orioles scored. And interestingly enough, you brought this up because I do have a no runs in the first inning system. Reds scored last night. I tweeted about this. Orioles are now the only team left of the 30 teams in baseball that haven't scored a run in the first inning yet. So hopefully the 11th time is a charm. But I would take a look at that if you think that Ellis could maybe stop the A's from putting up that early run. But it's A's. If you want to maximize your profit, it might be A's on the run line. You're going to get a really good price with that 8 at-bats as well.
Yeah, I like that run line play quite a bit. So you're saying that Baltimore has not scored in the first inning of any game this year?
The Reds and Orioles had both gone into the games last night not having scored. Tommy Pham hit a solo home run in the first inning, and they're off the Schneid. Orioles are left.
Wow, that's a great stat, Dr. Chuck. That really is. I didn't even know that. But the 2 most appropriate names are on that list, or at least one is left now. But Kevin, let's hear what you have to say about this illustrious matchup.
Yeah, I won't lie. I didn't stay up to watch that main show last night. That's for sure. But I have seen enough of Cole Irvin to know that the guy is probably not a major league pitcher. Velocity up 91 when he was with the Phillies. These O's, everyone overlooks them, the Orioles and stuff, and I get it. They've been horrible for so many years, and they're in the AL East, which is probably the toughest schedule. But I love these hitters, and I love their leadoff and Mullins and the way he gets on base and can steal bases. That game was 1-1, and then the error happened, and that game got out of control. That's why this line's low, because the Orioles probably should have won that game or at least been in it. 2 errors in that game just can't happen. We all know the A's have always been a sound team, young. They like to run the bases and stuff, and they're a hard team to predict. But I'm going to go with the total here, and I think it's going to go over the 8 just because Irvin's pitching, and we don't know what Ellis is, which is kind of a surprise because that could be the element of surprise that beats the A's, and you could cash that dog money line. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring game here. It was 5-1 last night, and I think the O's are going to put up, which is going to roll into my best bet for today later at the end of the show.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't be surprised to see Oakland score the posted total on their own merit. And they are a lineup of home run hitters that really haven't hit home runs yet. And what better opportunity than against this starting pitcher than tonight? It almost
Well,
seems too easy.
without to not to butt in, but I mean, I'm with Kevin. So the Orioles don't win for you. I just also think that if you're gonna take, you got to, because baseball is not a spread sport. You have to pick your dogs in spots. They have to win for you. They can't losing 4-3 doesn't get you the money like it does tonight if you're taking the T-Wolves or if you're taking the Pelicans because you want a dog. It doesn't get you those wins. And so I think taking the Orioles at plus 135, I just don't know if that's where you find your value. But I love their lineup. But it's just bad news constantly. Now John Means is on the 60-day IL. And that can't, how does the dugout and the roster react now, so they're throwing out Chris Ellis, and he only had one start at AAA, and he was great. But it's but they're coming out here, like you said, oh, just another game. We somehow lost that game. We probably should have won. Post-game box score shows that the A's had no business winning this, but lo and behold, they did. It's just another thing and another thing, and then they're constantly, this is against not the division. These are the teams that the Orioles can beat. They can look at their schedule and be like, crap, it's not going to Toronto again. We don't have to go to the Bronx, and they don't. And so it's just, I think if you're going to take if you're going to take a big dog, take the Tigers at plus 195 or plus 200, and you're getting more value than you are on the O's tonight.
But look at the O's; they just out hit everybody last night.
Yeah.
They out hit them 7-5, and they can't win.
Yeah.
I just think after watching Irving Cole for 2 years, some of those balls are going to be hit pretty hard. I mean, they're going to be hit really hard. So
yeah.
I looked it up too. To both of your points, Cole Irvin's barrel percentage. In other words, for somebody hearing this for the first time, it's the number of times that a batter gets the barrel of the bat square on the ball and launches it. 15% of all pitches. That's horrific.
Which is not common. Right. People think barrel is common. It's incredibly not common. There are guys, Josiah Gray's making his third start today. He's hit one barrel.
So we should pull up Church if I had more time and see what his barrel percentage is. It's probably negative.
To Kevin's point, 15%. Yeah, Kevin, that does not pass the eye test. That's 1 out of 7.
That's right. It's 1 out of 7. That's at the best. That's 2 batters, right? At the best, one of them's going to barrel it up. Wow. I do know this, though. He does throw a sinker. And if he stays down the zone and he gets more ground balls, like say in the first inning, because I'm starting to think my in-game strategy now for this game might be good. That if for some fluke he actually looks good and he's getting ground balls, and maybe I stay off the over, or maybe wait until the ball starts coming up in the zone a little bit. Because that's the one thing you guys know I've been saying this for a while. You don't have to bet the game pre-flop. Nobody's forcing you to bet it. And sometimes, like in the NBA, you get a much better line in-game than you do pre-flop. But this might be one to consider at least. I'm going to start us off with the final segment here of best bets. And I'm not going to change the game. I'm going with Oakland. And I'm also going with Oakland on the run line. An amazing little system here. It's 26-7 over the last 5 seasons. That's 79% wins. The $100 bettor has profited $2,900 doing this. Disciplined is the word. So you're going to bet on any team from the American League who last year had a slugging percentage of .410 or worse, and now has a slugging percentage of .350 or worse spanning their last 5 games. That's all there is to it. Last year, .410 or worse slugging percentage. This year, .350 or worse over a 5-game span. That says to take Oakland. And I think that's, we talk about regression. This is, I guess, progression, right? We're looking for Oakland to really put a lot of runs on the board tonight based on this little system that's made a lot of money over the years. Let's go to Kevin Thomas now, and be sure to, after you give your best bet, tell us all what's going on, what you have special going on at sportsmemo.com, any promos that they're running for you, whatever you feel like saying.
All right. I'm going back to that Orioles. Ryan Mountcastle one RBI plus 180 over at MGM. Like I said, I love this lineup, and I love the pitching matchup here. So for plus 180, I'm going to go ahead and throw a dime on that. Now, what I got going over at Sports Memo, I still have a dog of the day, and I have my NBA play for tonight. Tomorrow I'll be on the First Family Show, or Wednesdays is 33% off, and I'm 10-1 last 3 days. So hop on.
10-1. I mean, do I have to repeat it again, guys and gals? I mean, get over to Sports Memo and get this guy's picks tonight. Let's go to Dr. Chuck for his best bet and his happenings at sportsmemo.com.
So I brought up my play similar to you two. I brought up my play a little bit earlier. I make a lot of my money based on just going against what Vegas has to do. And Garrett Cole is on the mound, and they see his name next to the NYY on the book line, and that's where they put their money. He's too big of a favorite. Since I don't have to get into the numbers since Spider Cat was banned, but let's just be serious. Him and Shane Bieber were using it, and good for them. It worked while it worked, and his spin rate is down. Everything is down. The Yankees, as a non-divisional road favorite this big, have only won 1 out of the 4 games since last season, and Tyler Alexander is not a guy I love. Doesn't really matter because I'm getting the plus 1.5 on the home team Tigers at plus 110, and I think they probably win the game. If you want to take it, you almost get 2-1. But for best bet purposes, I'm giving out the run line. The Yankees haven't even covered, and Garrett Cole's numbers get worse if you add the division in on the road. And the Tigers lineup is a little revamped. They also have Hinch. I just think these are boons to the team, and the Tigers aren't going to be world beaters. This is a spot where it's just too much value to get plus money on the run line.
Great stuff, gentlemen. That'll bring us to the end of the show for the full count for Tuesday, April the 19th, 2022. Make sure you get over to sportsmemo.com and get the winning information you need to make money over the course of a season. Not just one night, the whole season. That's the goal. It's not just to try to get rich in one night, is it? No. But the NBA tonight will be exciting. So it's we'll get ready and primed for that as well. But next show for the Major League Baseball full count show will be tomorrow, Wednesday. And until then, remember 2 things always, guys and gals. Bet with your head. That's, not over it. And may all the wins be yours.